Welcome back to my 3-part series of building a tower hunting blind for under $500. If you missed part 1, I've got a link for it here. In this video, we'll be digging post holes and setting the posts for our tower blind. At this point in time, this is our design. And as we start to dig, you'll see how we had to work with the terrain a bit and modify things as we went along. Fortunately, this design is pretty easy to modify, and since we only planned for it to be 7 feet up, there was a lot of leeway structurally. The main tool we needed today was our post hole digger attachment. We store all of our equipment on these nice pallets my dad thought of, so it's really easy to store things out of the way and get them hooked up when we need them. If you want to know more about them or how to make one, let me know in the comments and I'll put a video together. With the post hole digger attached, we can go ahead and start digging. We needed our blind to sit as far off the field as possible so as to keep out of the way of farming equipment, but the hillside here is mostly rock. This overlay is more or less how the tower is supposed to be located ultimately. Now, let's get into the digging and setting of our posts. Turn on your captions if you want to get some context on what we're doing throughout this process. At the end, I'll take some time to explain how our design changed with the terrain.
Rotate that over.
Okay.
No, that way.
What? You said over.
No, over.
Oh. I misunderstood. Now, where do you want it, Dad?
I want it sticking out so I can cut this off.
Oh. Is that all you need?
Yep.
And there we have it. After 2 days of work, we got our 4 posts anchored into place. We ultimately used 11 bags of concrete for a whopping $60 invested so far into this tower blind. The rear post took the bulk of it since we had to get creative there. Now, for those of you with an observant eye, you'll notice our posts aren't that perfect rectangular pattern we initially intended. This structure is designed to have 2 joists straddling 2 sets of posts front to back. The only thing that's important is to get the blind to sit on all 4 joists. Since the design is already super overkill for this blind, adjusting one of the posts in like this isn't a big deal. It's by the door anyways, and we won't generally be sitting or using this corner of the hut much besides getting in and out. And that's the end of part 2. Part 3 will be the conclusion of this series where we get the blind put up in place. It'll be a good one because we use our tractor to do it, and it'll be at its absolute limit and quite precarious. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it and subscribe so you don't miss part 3 and the other projects I work on.